Why are you alive? So, let's go a little bit deeper into this and place our awareness and our attention onto the infinite love. The part that I said we cannot define. But what does the infinite love look like? And this is where I'm going to visit the last 3 months of OMG. What does the infinite, unconditional, universal love look like? And last month we spoke about the ego. And we said that the ego is the part of you that has been born the moment you perceive to be form. And that moment that you perceive to be form, you create this ego that identifies only with form. And within us all, we have infinite potential. Within us all, we have infinite. And that's the very thing that has created this confusion for the ego, because infinite means it's just empty space. But it's not this space. It's not the space that you see in the universe, in the galaxies, because that's the space that is manifested from form. That's the space that is manifested to hold the form. It's part of the physical, if you know what I mean. If I can call this space, I will call it just formless. It's not out there in the universe. Out there in the universe, that is just a reflection of what's in here as formless. Because even the universe, so far, is not infinite. How do we know that? Because science has come to realize the universe is continuously expanding. Isn't the universe expanding? So that means it has parameters. It's not infinite. But that is a reflection of consciousness manifesting itself to become, manifesting a part of itself to become unconscious. And currently in this moment, consciousness is becoming aware of itself. So therefore, the universe is expanding. What I'm trying to say to you is, we as a collective are beginning, or have always been, expanding our space. So the universe is just a reflection of that. Most of you know my sister Gazale, yes? Gaz writes intuitive horoscopes. And continuously she'll get people going, oh my God, I read my horoscope, I'm a Virgo. Is that because there's a blue moon at the moment? Or is that because da-da-da-da? And she writes back going, it has nothing to do with astronomy. I know nothing of astronomy. I'm just writing what I feel. That's why it's called intuitive horoscope. You see, astronomy is a reflection of what you intuit, from the feeling. It's a reflection of what's going on internally as a collective. So it's not this is happening because of astronomy. Astronomy or anything of the physical world is a reflection, including the universe expanding. So when I'm talking about this emptiness, I'm not talking about the emptiness of this room. I'm talking about an emptiness that is only emptiness, that is not form and formless. It's only formless. So this emptiness of who you are, remember, we spoke about this in last month. And if you weren't here last month, you'll get the recordings. Those who are on the OMG online part. Last month we spoke about the ego. The moment the ego was born, the moment you perceive to be form. And then the ego only can identify itself as form. So what happens when the ego looks inside and sees the formless? It perceives that something is missing, something is not whole, something is not complete. It perceives that, therefore, I am unloved. So therefore, the ego will look into the physical form to fill the void. So what I'm trying to get at here is that unconditional, infinite, universal love, what it looks like is the nothingness. But within that nothingness is everything. And that's why it's connected with everything. That's why not only is it connected with everything, it is everything. Anything that's manifested from formless into form. It's not just connected, it is. It is the space and it is the form. It is the space between the form. And it is the form itself. In the WTF, we watched that video clip from The Matrix. Do not try and bend the spoon, for that is impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth. What truth, he says? There is no spoon. Then you realize it's not. Why is there no spoon? Because it's an illusion. And if you take the illusion away, all it is the nothingness. And what is the nothingness? It's infinite. But the ego sees the nothingness as something's missing, so it looks to fill that void in doing things to be loved. It will look into the physical world, because the ego only knows the physical world. It will look to find things that the ego will go, oh, I love doing this. And it will use love, especially when you're on this journey, it will use love in order to be loved. It's like, okay, now you're on this path of truth. Remember, we spoke about the ego. As you become more conscious and more aware, so does the ego. We spoke about why does the ego become more conscious, and why does it seem it becomes more aware as you expand? Because the ego just changes its game. Before you were living out of fear, so now the ego goes, now it's all about love. Okay, well, I will find the things that I love to do and I love to give in order to be loved. And this is why I always say that people change they're climbing in the corporate ladder, and then they change that and start climbing into the spiritual ladder. This path that you're very much on right now, you'd make this into an outcome, into a destination, and go, oh, if I can just get to where Amir's at, or if I can just get where this fellow's at, if I can just get to a point where I have no more fear, you will not get to a point that you have no more fear. That's about fixing, improving, or changing. What happens is that your space becomes bigger. And space, if you haven't got what I'm trying to say to you, is love. Your space becomes bigger. What happened when you felt the fear in your body in this morning's meditation, and this is why we did that meditation, and you flushed it down the drain and it became one with the ocean? What happens, excuse the language, if I piss into this cup? What happens to the water? Will it affect the water? What happens when I piss in the ocean? Would it affect the ocean? I mean, we continuously doing that. I don't know if you know, but that's where your sewage goes. It goes into the ocean ultimately. Why does it go into the ocean? So we've got to use the mic. No. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to say to you is this. You see that video in the WTF where they keep going outwards into the universe, and then you see the globe, and then it keeps going out, and ultimately it keeps going out deep into the universe, and you can't even see the globe anymore? The earth has disappeared? That's what happens. You have your fear, all right? Let's say your whole fear is as big as this room. But what happens if you keep expanding outwards? What happens when you expand your awareness? And that's what's happening here, is you're expanding. You see, your awareness Okay? Who you truly are is already expanded. So what I say, expand your awareness, you become aware of how expanded you already are. That's what expanding. Me being on this path, all I've done is I've just kept expanding. I kept expanding. But the truth, with the capital T, is that I already am expanded. Because this is what we spoke about in the ego. All that's real is infinite. Because you can't say there's infinite and then there's finite. Can you? There's no such thing as finite. If infinite is real, there's no such thing as finite. It doesn't have an opposite. Something that's infinite doesn't have an opposite. So the truth is, I already am infinite. The truth is, I already am expanded. So what happens on your journey is you start to become aware, your expansion, your awareness expands and you become aware of how expanded you are, if that makes sense. I was trying to put that into words. So as you become more and more aware, so what happens, this is my fear, and if my space is this much, I'm feeling lots of fear. Look, not much space to move around here, but what happens is if I continue to expand? What happens if I continue to expand? What happens if I continue to expand? Now I expand as big as this entire room. How small is the fear? It becomes irrelevant. This is why it's not about overcoming your stuff. It's about expanding your awareness, becoming aware of your expansion. So understand this space that we talk about, that's love. That's what love looks like. But it's not what it looks like with these eyes, because these eyes only see the space of the physical. This eye here sees the space of the formless. Why do you think when you go to a place with big space, you feel open? You feel, it kind of reminds you at home. When you look out to the ocean, you just see openness. Nothing but openness. And you're like, wow. Or you sit at night time and you look into the universe and you see nothing but openness. Why do you think you feel open and you feel like it feels familiar? Who knows what I'm talking about? Or even a desert. Or even looking out through a forest of just green and just seeing the openness above the green. Anything that is one of the same. A forest is all green, all the same. Anything that reminds you of everything being one. You look out in the ocean, you look out in the universe, you just see space and you're just there and you could sit there for hours looking into fucking nothing and being in awe of it. In awe of nothingness. Because that is what love looks like. Unconditional, universal love. That's what it looks like. That's a reflection of it anyway. And I think that's what we're going to be speaking about next month, reflections. And we'll see. That just came to me a couple of days ago. So that's the first thing. What does love look like then? If this is not unconditional, infinite, universal love, then what is it? What is it, at least, what does it look like? Well, it's emptiness. That's why the ego, you're having this conflict, and that's why the ego is looking to do things in the physical in order to be loved. So your game is now changed. Now you're on the path of truth, and you're making outcome and destinations on your path. And you're comparing your life, just like you did before when you're in the corporate ladder, climbing the corporate ladder, you're comparing yourself with someone who's higher above you or someone below you. Now you do it on the spiritual path, on the path of truth. Well, they seem to be more enlightened. Well, I'm experiencing fear. And if I was really living my truth, I wouldn't be experiencing fear. So then you turn this path into an outcome and destination where if I can just keep doing what's true for me and get to that point, I will no longer feel fear. So this is why when I'm talking in the WTF or different programs, I say it's a lie that people say I don't have enough money. Big, fat lie. Why? It's not money that you lack, it's space. You've got to really grasp what I mean by space. It's space. You don't have enough space. And why don't you have enough space? Because you filled the space. Because your ego did this thing of filling the space with thoughts and charges so you don't have to look at the emptiness. Why don't you want to look at the emptiness? Because you can't identify yourself within the emptiness. Or the ego cannot anyway. So at this stage, what I want you to understand is that emptiness is infinite love. So the next thing that I want to pose. So what does love look like? Well, where do you experience infinite, unconditional, universal love? Where can you experience infinite love? In the moment. In the moment. So here's the thing. There's, if I can put levels of the moment, there is no levels, there's only one moment. But the story has the present moment. Within the physical world, within the story, you have the past, you have the future, and you have the present moment. But you see, that present moment still has the past and future. And therefore, the past and future is still influencing that present moment. You see? And that's what people start to find at the beginning on this path. Oh, the present moment. Find your feet. You find your feet, you're in the present moment. Yes? But that moment still has a past and future. You're still influencing and receiving, filtering what you're receiving based on your past and future. So it's still a finiteness, that present moment. Okay? But then there is a moment where there is only one moment. One energy, one moment. And that is, if I can just call it, the moment now. Not the present moment, but the moment now. And that moment now has no past influences nor future. In that moment now, you experience as though everything that ever happened, everything that ever will happen, and everything that is happening in one moment. And don't try to understand that. I will give you some references in a moment. Everything that is happening, everything that will be happening, everything that is happening, one moment. One moment, one energy. Who's ever experienced déjà vu? Déjà vu is a moment. And you go, oh, I've been here before. I mean, I just experienced it when I first started speaking to you guys this morning. I was like, it's a moment where you experience timelessness. It's a moment where you're experiencing yourself in one moment, in the now moment, the moment of now, in one moment. And you feel like, have I been here before? Like, this has happened before. And you think, oh, it's part of my past life. No, it's because everything that ever happened, everything that will happen, everything that is happening in the moment now has already happened. Why? It's timeless. Oneness is timeless. It's in the physical you created this thing called time, where you have the past, the future, and the present moment. Déjà vu, one reference. Give you another reference. Ever had an experience where in one moment everything disappeared? In the physical, it may disappear. Maybe it was you're about to have a car accident. Maybe you're in a moment of danger. Maybe I don't know, maybe you might have experienced this, Greg, in your nearly drowning thing in thing, where everything seemed to slow down and even disappear. Although when I say disappear, it's still there, but it became irrelevant. I mean, maybe it was a first kiss with somebody. So there's a difference between the present moment that has the past and future attached to it versus being in the present moment and then actually dropping into one moment where one energy is. One energy, that's timeless. Best anti-aging cream you ever experience. The more you drop into that space. Because it's timeless. Time bends from there. You manifest time from there. Not only do you manifest form, you manifest time. You bend time from there. And that's a different conversation we'll save for another OMG. But time bends. Your bank account bends as well. Suddenly you had 3,000, then suddenly there's 9,000. Where'd that come from? I don't even know. How do you know when it is the finite love or your human-made love? How do you know it's that? Because you can't define the infinite love, but we can define the man-made finite love. Everyone here has done the WTF probably multiple times. Okay? But don't go just to what you've experienced in the past. Go to your heart right now and just find, well, what is the love that is defined? What is the love that is limited? How do you know? You cannot know the love that's infinite, because the love that's infinite comes from the unknown. You can never know it. You can never hold it. You can never keep it. You can never describe it. But you can find the love. You can define the love that is human-made. To give love towards something, so therefore that you can be loved. You see what I'm saying? I know we can't define the infinite love, but the infinite part of you that is love is already love. So therefore, it does not need to do something to feel loved. Can you see what I'm saying? But the finite part of you that perceives that there's something empty within you is continuously looking to do things to feel love, to give things, to be a certain way, to be loving in order to be loved. Do you understand? In other words, to feel loved. Can you see? So if it was to define it in a small statement, it would be that when it is coming from the human-made love, you do something with love in order to be loved. You even do what you love in order to be loved. You see, the part of you that's coming from fullness, as Greg was saying, or the infinite part of you, it already is love. So therefore, everything that it does is because of love, but the unconditional, universal, infinite love, and that means that it's not looking to be loved or feel loved, return, because it already feels loved. I talk about this in the WTF program, where personal development programs, they teach you to go in front of the mirror and say, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. Is that supportive? Yes. But who's saying, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself? The ego. The part of you that perceives that there's something missing and is looking at itself. Is that supportive? Yes. For the ego, and sometimes we need to do things that's supportive for the ego, for you to realize, to get to a point of realizing it was the ego. In other words, is it supportive to be more positive than negative? Well, in the story it is. So if someone's really, really in the story, I'll tell them be positive about it. Have a positive outlook. But to transcend the story, you need to transcend both positive and negative. So someone that is love, or a being that is love, does not need to do things or give things or say things in order for it to be loved. So the simplest statement that we can make here is that a love that is human-made, a love that we can define, is a love that you do something in the name of love, from the reason of love. And love doesn't have reason. The reason you're doing it is because of love. But you're doing it to be loved. Can you understand that? Can you grasp that? Now, I want to share with you, thank you for that. I want to share with you how deep this runs. And when I say deep, I'm just talking about places in your life that you are doing certain things in the name of love, just to be loved, that you're not even seeing. What I will want to cover though is how we actually become aware of our expanded space. So in other words, we're expanding our space. So your space is this small, but it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So one way of expanding space is by continuously deepening your presence. Yes? This is what we've covered before lunch. So not only do you experience space when you are present, but the more you are present and the more you deepen your presence, then the more the space expands. This is the easiest practice for you to do, okay? To keep bringing yourself back into the present moment. Last month when we spoke about the ego, we spoke about that the one place the ego cannot exist is the present moment. Okay, the moment now. Because in the present moment it can still weave itself in there. Okay, because it's still got the storyline of the past and the future. But you've got to get to the present moment to get to the moment now. You see? So the more you bring yourself and whatever practice that you choose to do into this present moment, the more you sit. Like I expand space quite a lot when I sit and be present and just ponder. And sometimes my pondering is there's nothing insightful coming, but I'm just sitting and being, and just feeling the sun and feeling the wind and just I don't know, just being. Not having to be anywhere, not having to think anything, not having to say anything, just being. Okay? I'm just being in the story. That expands your space. Number one. The easiest thing you can practice. Reading books like Eckhart Tolle or some of his work will support you in the presence element. Second thing, many people think they cannot stay in presence. I've spoken about this many times in different things, the WTF in particular. You sustain presence when you are doing what you love. Now, here's the thing. When you do what you love, you're bringing space into the moment. The moment is space itself. But when you do what you love to do, right? Hang on. When you do what you truly, capital T, love to do. Not when you do what you love to do in order to be loved. When you do what you truly love to do, you are bringing space into the present moment. So you are bringing space into a space that already has space. Does that make sense? Because there's one thing to make space in the present moment that has the past and future. So that means bringing space into the storyline. Then when you bring the space of love, in other words, doing what you love into that moment, boom. Its effect ripple. So that's number two. To bring what you love. When you're doing what you love to do, not only do you sustain presence, not what you need to do. When you're doing what you love to do, not only do you sustain presence, but you continue to expand your space. Number three. This is probably the first time you ever catch me going step 1, 2, 3. All right? But the third way that you expand your awareness. In fact, I would even add a fourth. As I'm saying, I'll pop a fourth in there. Okay? The third way, I might put the fourth first. Hang on. Which we can make the third still. Yeah, it is 3. Because the next thing I was going to say falls into the 3rd. I was going to say when you bring your creativity out. Because when you're bringing your creativity out, creativity comes from the creator part of you. And you are creating through creativity. So creativity, whatever it is that you do, creativity. Whether it's making love, whether it's eating food, whether it's painting, speaking, designing of some sort, singing, acting, dancing, whatever it is that is your creative element. Okay? Creativity is the juices of love, if you like. So every time you're doing something creative, it falls into the same category of doing what you love, doing what you truly love. Okay? The 4th, or the 3rd, because that falls back into the 2nd, the 3rd element is something that I continuously train the mentors in my team. These guys are continuously supporting clients who are taking this path, and are also coaching people. Mark, you with me? Yeah? Okay. They're coaching people, all right? And through the coaching, I don't teach them any coaching skills. There is no coaching skills taught to them. All I teach them, or train them in, because you can't even teach this, all I train them in is holding space. Now, when they're holding space for themselves, and they're holding space for the clients. Okay? So what does it mean? And this is one of the most powerful things. What does it mean to hold space? It's really difficult for me to put this into words. Okay? What does it mean to hold? So when I say hold space, you're actually holding space for something. Okay? Whether it is an emotion. Okay? When you have your own emotions come up, the first thing that you do, when we went back in the, four OMGs ago, we were talking about reclaiming power. The first thing you do is you give it space. Okay? Here's your emotions. The first thing you do is you've got your emotions here, you give it space. What does it mean to give it space? And by the way, all right, in many little spiritual teachings, they say you got to love it. To heal it, you got to love it. What does giving space mean? Right? You're giving it love. Because they say you got to love it. But how do you love this emotion? I'm feeling angry. How do I love the anger? Oh, I love your anger. You make me angry, but I love you anyway. You know, how do you love it? Or they say you got to love what's making you angry, which has nothing to do with anything, because what's making you angry is actually what you see in what you see in them is the anger that you see in yourself. So it's got nothing to do for forgiving or loving the story, although that may be supportive. It's really got to do with loving what the story or what the person is causing you to feel. But how do you love the frustration? How do you love the anger? We covered this, it was to give it space. Space, again, is love. But how do you give it space? The only word that we could describe it as is, the first thing is, you allow it to be. Here is this emotion, I am allowing it to be. It's not, ooh, I'm going to give you space so I can not allow you to be there anymore. Because my agenda is that I don't like you and I have judgment of this fear that I'm experiencing. I don't want to experience this fear anymore. So I will give you space. I will give space to this fear so that I can get rid of it. And then most of those people, when they do that, they'll go, I'm just sitting with it. But they're not sitting with it. They're sitting with the resistance of it. Big difference. So to allow it to be means let the siren go. So to allow it to be to allow it to be means that you are actually allowing this emotion to be there without any resistance, which makes you actually, well, it allows you to feel. That's one of the first things that happen. It allows you to feel the emotions. But as you continue to give it space, and this is how you continue to give it space. This is how you give space to something. You become present to what is. The truth is, love is, infinite is. There's no other word after is. So when I'm giving space to something, I am becoming present with what is. So if it's an emotion, my own emotion, I am becoming present to my emotion, but without resistance, and therefore without judgment. Do you understand? The isness is neutral. I am becoming present to what is. I have no judgment on it. I'm experiencing the fear for what it is. This is the only way I can describe this. So I'm referring back to reclaiming power. Come back to the mentors giving space to a client. So when a client is telling them, this is what's going on for me, and when a client is telling me, hey, this is what's going on for me, I become present to what is. So in other words, I'm becoming present to what they're saying without labeling it or judging it, without feeling sorry for them or trying to resolve it, which is the opposite what you do in coaching, because in coaching you want to resolve it. So what happens is I'm actually giving love. I'm actually giving space to them. When we are speaking right now, all I'm doing is giving space to the conversation that we are having. All I'm doing is giving space to this moment that we are having. So one of the other ways that you expand your awareness is to continuously become present to what is. So in other words, you're not labeling it or judging whatever is showing up, but you are present to it. It's not like, oh, I'm feeling fear, or I've gone into the future, and then you want to remove yourself from the future and come back to the present moment. I may actually become present to being in the future, to what is, without putting a label or charge on it. Does that make sense? So these things are things that you can practice throughout this month that will continuously allow you to expand your awareness. Presence. Doing what's true for you expands your awareness. And just to break down doing what's true for you, I want you to remember, you're doing what's true for you. When you do this enough, you're doing what's true for you, because when you do that, you are alive. You are awake. I talk about in the WTF about doing what you love to do, doing what's true for you. People think because when I do what's true for me, it will make me happy. That's the message they take away. In fact, that's the message I took away when I first started speaking. But it's not. Every time you do what's true for you, you are allowing that feeling, as Greg was talking about, he called it the divine, to come through you. And I'm saying to you that if you continue to do that, you become the divine. So what I'm trying to say is that when you're doing what's true for you, you're not doing it because life gets easier. You're doing it because your capacity gets greater. You're not doing it because it makes you happier. You're not doing it because there's less risk involved in your strategy of your business or your finances and your life plan, or you're doing it because it's true for you. And when you're doing what's true for you, you are awake. And when you're awake, you are dropping deeper and deeper and connecting with who you truly are, which means you continue to expand and expand and expand the awareness of your expansion. But what happens is, with the moment you do what's true for you, ego hijacks and goes, how are we doing there then? What's happened? Did we make more money on this or what? Because isn't that why we're doing this anyway? Because, yeah, you got to do what you love to do. You got to make money from it, though. I'm not saying you don't. But the moment you put your attention on the money, you're gone. Because the money's not what's true for you. If you can place your attention and keep coming from what is true for you, this story will take care of itself. And you're not concerned how it takes care of itself, because you're not in the control element anymore. You're not concerned how it takes it. I want to travel around the world. I don't care how it happens. You don't lack anything but space. You accept the love you think you deserve. You accept the home, your lifestyle, whatever it is, your job, your work that you do, that you love, that you don't love to do, whatever it is, because you think that's what you fucking deserve. And the only reason that you don't have what you truly love, because it's impossible for you to not have what you truly love, because what you truly love is coming from the one itself, which is infinite. So it's impossible for you not to have what you truly love, unless you don't become one with what's true for you. In other words, when I love something, truly love, the only reason I wouldn't have it is because I don't really love it. I feel it's true for me, but I haven't become one with that feeling. And why? Because my focus has gone into the means to an end, or what I got to do, or the how, in order for me to have what I love. And why do I focus on the means to an end, or what's got to happen, or how, in order to have what I love? Because I don't have the fucking capacity. But if I have the capacity, I just become one with what I love, and I just decide, I want that. I mean, it's not even I want it. It's just like, it's almost like you just choose. And you know what the feeling you get after that? You feel it's done. Now you still have no idea how this is done, because you became one with it. But this, in the story, how, I mean, where the money is going to come from, where it's going to, the how, you still don't know. But you know the feeling you had? Yeah, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I just know. People go, how do you know? I don't know. How do you get that feeling? Because I loved it. Which brings me to the only fear that we have. The only fear that we have as human beings. You know what it is? Yeah, I know, the fear of death, fear of public speaking, all that kind of stuff, right? But go deeper. The only fear we have is the fear of love itself. Our war is not with fear, our war is with love. Let me elaborate. And there is only two forms. The fear is love itself, and that stems into two different forms. You want to know what it is? One, is that we fear the power of love. As Mandela said, we fear light, not the darkness. We feel the enormity, is that the right word? The enormity of love, because our space is only this much, And the enormity of love is the entire ocean that this drop is sitting in. And we think, we as the identity, because that's the identity, you think that you got to fit the entire fucking ocean into this little capacity, this space. But if you were to expand your space, and that's all you're doing, you are expanding your space. So one form of that fear is the fear of its enormity. We fear the strength, the power of that love. And I personally have experienced this in moments where I've dropped in deep enough, boom. You want some tissues? Where's the tissues going? Thanks. And you know what the other stem from that is? The rejection of love. Now I know you're going, yeah, oh yeah, that's why we fear public speaking, because we have fear of rejection, because I speak about that in the WTF. But that goes far deeper. You are so fucking afraid of loving 100% what feels true for you to love, just in case it doesn't fucking happen. Because if it doesn't happen, then you just got rejected by love. And that is the only fear we have. Our fear is of love itself. Either the power and the enormity of love, or we fear the rejection of love. And that's why you do not have what you truly love. Because you haven't truly loved it yet. Yes, it's true for you because it came from that space, but you have not yet truly loved it yet, which means you have not become one with what you truly love. Because the moment you become one with what you truly love, and I mean you love it 100%, it will happen, and you will feel, not only will it feel it will happen, you will feel it's done. You've felt that in your life. You felt it's done, and you don't know how it's done, and nor do you care about how it's done. You just know it's done. Well, that's how I live every fucking day. That's how I choose. That's how things manifest, because I love it. And guess what? If I don't love it 100%, there's 1%, 2% of doubt. And then there's thinking. And then I go, how? Then I go into planning, strategy. It's only because I don't love it 100%. And the only reason I wouldn't love something 100% is because I don't have the capacity to love it 100%, nor fucking receive it 100%. I don't know why I'm so swearing so much today, but it's more swearing than normal. Usually it's, Brian's going to have to go beep, beep. No, it's all right. He'll leave it all in there. Do you understand? So see how much this love has got to do with reclaiming power, how much it has to do with manifestation, how much it has to do with the ego, and the ego going, well, now that we're on the path of truth and we're just going to do what we love to do, then it will find what you love to do, but it's just another form of need. It's the need of being loved. You do what you love, you go, I love this, and maybe it's true for you originally, but you just it hijacks it and goes, oh, yeah, you love it, and you're looking for, you do something because to be loved. It is all space. My mother has been teaching me, and there's no way to teach. She just keeps saying, You just don't have enough space. I can't pay for this. Go and make more space. She didn't say go and make more money. Go and make more space. And I used to just go, how do I make more space? She couldn't tell me how. Like I can't tell you how, but I've just given you some reference points that you can explore for yourself. Will you explore it? Will you? Will you? If you love it, you will. If you love it. Do you know why I've stopped speaking? Do you know why? I'm only speaking, I mean, at the moment I feel like I'm going to speak once a year in every city, 7 cities. So, I don't know. I used to speak last year, every weekend. I was in a different city doing a different talk. And then going from that to, I ain't doing this anymore, it doesn't feel true. Do you know why? Because they don't fucking deserve to hear what I've got to say.
Who does?
The audience. So I put it up on the website, and that website will find the ones that they do deserve, because the ones who deserve pay. You guys paid to be here. Because if you value it, you would pay. And you know what the funny thing is? I get up on the WTF, when I do those for free, I actually say, I am disservicing you right now because I'm doing this for free. But they don't understand. They're like, no, you're a very spiritual man, you're a giving man, thank you. But they've got no idea how much I disservice them because they're not paying for it. But I guess I'm willing to disservice to do a greater service. You know why I'm disservicing them? Because they will fucking pay. They don't know. They will pay. Either you pay financially, right? People say, well, love's free. Is it? To you, for you to experience love, did you not fucking get smashed by it? Did you not get rejected? Did it not be kept away from you? You got hurt by love. In order for you to experience what love was, you had to pay. Well, guess what? You don't pay, you'll pay through your story. When I take away someone paying financially, they will pay in the story. Their story, stuff will come up and they're like, oh my God, this is stuff. I mean, their finances will go crazy. They're paying. If someone's a truth seeker, they will pay. Nothing comes for free, even love. You have to pay, because for you to truly appreciate it, you pay. What is paying? Paying is giving of yourself. You give of yourself. That's what paying is. When I pay for something, I give of myself. I give of my heart. Now that comes in the form of finances or, whatever else I do. I'm doing the greatest disservice, but I do that aware, consciously, with the promise of finding the ones who truly want this, finding the ones who are looking for me to do a greater service. And not a greater service just in them, but a greater service in the world. So you pay either way. And you know what? You get to a point one day where you really appreciate paying. Because when I say you pay either way, you're thinking, oh, that's terrible. But you love to pay. It's the giving of yourself. You pay for anything you value. And I'm not just talking about financially here. You pay in raising your kids. You pay from your own time, from your own life. Who's got kids? Did you not pay? Absolutely. If you didn't truly love the child, you wouldn't have been able to pay. You pay for what you most truly value. And again, I'm not just talking about finances here. I'm talking about your own time, your own heart. That is the other great illusion, that love is free. Well, if anyone has experienced love for free, they don't know love yet. Because love has got to give you a few pokes and a fucking stab here or there before you know love.
That's so true. It is true.
So even love is not free. Only becomes free once you paid. You see? Once you paid, everything is free. That's when love is free. Because you become infinite. Because you become love. Because you become the one. But you need to pay. But the question is, how you pay. I can go and pay for flowers or for something, for a holiday, and really appreciate, or fine, really appreciate paying, or I can go, oh shit, I really want to go on this holiday, but now that I paid this, it's like I have less. No, what happens when you love? Your capacity to receive and to capacity to love becomes greater. Your space becomes greater. So don't go and keep spending your money and going, oh my God, I have $1,000 less. No. Wrong. Your attention is up your fucking ass. Your attention is in the wrong place. Place your attention on the truth and feel the appreciation for what you're paying towards. It's all about the love. Love is the answer. But people do not know love. But love knows people. People do not know what love is yet. They have made this ideal of what love is. Go and find yourself. Go and make space. You can't find yourself in the confinement that you're in right now, or that you may be in. Make space. Just know, you do what's true for you because it's drawing you closer to you. Nothing else. Stop taking attention, I'm doing what's true for me so I can live a rich life or an easier life. No, you don't try to live an easier life. Your capacity becomes greater to live greater lives. And that doesn't mean it's easier. I always say, if someone wanted to see what it's like in my body and come and take my life for one day, right, in the capacity that they have, the space that they have, and then go, I would invite you, one of you, just take my body for a day, all right, and just go and see what it's like, right, you will freak the fuck out. If your space is not in the same space. But my space is bigger and I don't freak out. It seems very comfortable. It seems very just flowing. It's just like, but if someone else came in this body, they'll be like, oh my God, what are you going to do? Oh, what if that happens? Oh my God, hey, don't make that decision, Amir. No. What if they're not? Your same capacity, in the big capacity, you're fucking... So you see, it's your space. And I'm so glad my mother kept saying something that I never understood what she was talking about. Go and make space, go and make space, go and make... What do you mean, make space? I mean, if someone told you that, wouldn't you go, it took me years of pondering to go, what is making space? And you know what? I never fucking worked it out. Until one day I noticed I was making space. I was like, well, how the hell was I doing that? And then I looked back, and then I went, oh yeah, I'm doing that. But I was doing it naturally. I never worked it out. I never went, oh, that's how you make space, and then go and do it. I was just like, just living my life, and then one day I just noticed I was making more space. And how do you know how you first notice when you made space? Because the things that you used to react to, you no longer react to. And you guys are already experiencing that. Whether you're in month 1, month 2, month 12, you're already experiencing that. You notice that every month you come back to OMG, and then you go into your story, and you don't react to the things the way you used to react. You're seeing that, so you know your space is getting greater. You know that for sure. Well, just keep going. And guess what? Did you try to make your space bigger? So you're already doing it. So really, you know what this OMG is really about? Just making space. I just spoke and made space and then just put words into something so we can get entertained while we sit here. But really, you just made space. Now in your head you go, I made space because I found out about love and da-da-da-da, but really, we just spend it. And that's what OMG is, if you want to know. Every month I come in and sit down, and whether you watch it, you can feel exactly the same thing. You know, you're watching it. You know, you get sometimes more out of watching it than actually being here, right? All we're doing is making space. But then I put some content and make things pretty and go, oh, that's why I'm making space, because he just said that. No, it's just because the more deeper I go and speak from that space, the more I'm being that space, the more you open up to that space, if you're present. So happy space